Vigilante Wednesday on the 29th episode of the Culture Crime Fighters. And I'm not just with my usual partner in Culture Crime Fighting, Foulball Productions, but we are joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Comix Division. How you doing?
Hi. Hello, Comix. How are you
doing? Doing pretty good. How about you?
Good, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. I know. It's always nice to stream with you. I'm looking at I like your mic stand situation, man. That looks pretty professional.
Oh, it's funny because I mean, obviously you guys can't see this, but I have like this giant post that's in my desk. I have my light mounted, my camera mounted, and my microphone mounted. So it's it was great. It was definitely some experimentation along the way because my microphone, every time I drag it back and forth, it would slip off the bar it was mounted to. So I had to add an extra bar to it, and now it's pretty stable. So
yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah. I'm always struggling with this thing because this is just on the desk, and I don't like that it's kind of off to the right and covers my face. So I'm just looking, I'm like, wow, Comix looks so professional.
Yeah, I made sure to arrange it to where it's not like right in front of me. It's like, hello, everybody.
Yeah,
I have it off to the side. That way, it just makes recording a little easier and streaming a little easier. And I can just adjust it when I look at my other monitor over here, and
yeah, got it all cleaned, squared away.
Yep,
squared away. Well, hi, Comix. Hi, Vig.
Hey, how are you doing? How was your week?
Doing well. Week's been good. Week's been good. It's been productive. Toiling away at my Hitchhikers review, which has really been a lot of fun. Yeah, been loving doing that. Put out a video yesterday to a roaring 52 views. So
I was one of those 52 views. So
well, thank you, Vig. Thank you very much.
Oh, those are the days, man, when you're like, when is it going to go over 100?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Matt is being killed. You used to have videos go over 100 on a not regular, but on a semi-regular basis.
I get a little spoiled. I don't know. Sometimes I pick like a hot topic and it goes like 700-800. Then I had a few big videos, but yeah, no, pretty much on the whole, it's about 100. Yeah, and we're growing. I'm growing. I'm not trying to.
It's you definitely have to hit those hot topics because if you don't, I mean, you got to hit what people are searching for, right? It's like by doing like a what if review on a Wednesday is good because, what if came out, and if you do that, that's a good way of bringing people in to to view your content. Or you have to hit a hot topic that's going on, like the whole Afghanistan thing. That's been pretty good for my channel. Talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, right on. Are you watching What If?
Yeah, for the most part, because I'm involved with Anzo's review, his roundtable review on Sundays. So yeah, I'm kind of forced to watch it, whether I like it or not.
What are your thoughts on What If? I haven't seen any of it. Actually, after WandaVision, I've just outside of Shang-Chi, I was the only thing Marvel I've seen all year.
The first 2 episodes are complete fucking garbage. The third one is actually pretty decent, and the fourth one is actually really fucking good.
Really, it's really good, eh?
Mm. Yeah, it's basically what if Stephen Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, and it was actually a really decent story because it's about his descent into darkness and madness, and ultimately suffering the consequences of his actions. So,
yeah, Critical Drinker said some positive things about it, which was very intriguing for me. I was like, huh. I mean, not that he's like a cynic, but it's just like, I really respect his opinion. So for him to say something like that, I was like, oh, maybe there's more to this than I would have expected.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because I said on Anzo's show on Saturday, this is like the best thing on D+. They're like, what, the series? I was like, no, this single episode.
Just this one thing.
This is one thing.
Yeah.
And when the guy's like, what, you didn't like that fight with Ahsoka, that samurai battle with Ahsoka? And I was like, bye, click. Yeah, because I was actually leaving when I said that. So
just like walked right out, leaving on that one. Yeah. Well, oh, sorry, Vig.
No, I just want to acknowledge the chat. I see we have a superstar. Paulie's in the chat. He said like
Paulie.
Hell. And he
on,
He's
tossed out
always
the hashtag.
telling me to do better.
Do better, yeah. Do better. Hopefully YouTube is doing better with your channel, man. 'Cause that was some BS. And Wookiee Supremacy. I'm an OG member of the Dix Division. I haven't lost my card. So and yeah, Tree Rock Comics Division is here. We got him here.
Yeah,
So and Bruce Lombardo, hell, I hope you're doing pretty good. I know you've had some health issues.
Oh, sure.
He caught the coof and he's recovering.
Yeah, that's right, man. That's
sucks.
crazy. I think I meant to respond back to you in Discord, but I forgot.
Yeah. Blame our heads, not our hearts. We love all you guys.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
what were you about to, before I do it to the chat, what were you about to talk about?
I was just gonna ask a question, but I realized we should probably mention the bigger thing. We should probably mention the bigger story.
Not bury the lead.
Let's not bury the lead now.
Yeah. Okay. So well, as you guys know, we're completing our Friday Night Tights takeover with Friday Night Tights member. And this week on Friday Night Tights, they have a pretty big guest. I don't know if you want, I think everyone knows. If you don't know, Alex fucking Jones. Can I say, it's my channel. I'll say it. Alex fucking Jones is going to be on Friday Night Tights. Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh no. I guess I'm surprising Comics Division. He doesn't know what's happening on the show.
No, yeah. I legit found out like 15 minutes before we went live.
Same.
I found out like seconds before we went live.
Well, I saw
because kind of in disbelief.
So Gary got me, like he trolled me really well with that most recent video he put out about how his channel's under attack, and he put it in black and white. And he's like,
I knew exactly what he was doing.
I didn't. I didn't at all. I didn't get the joke until I was just like, is he serious? Because it happens sometimes, man. And I was and he's like, this is gonna be the end of Nerdrotic. I was like, that is. I took 100% seriously. He got me.
He was kind of parroting the quartering. He does that like once a year when views die down. It's like, what channel is under attack? It's dying. Yeah, he's just poking a little fun.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious. But then so there's a whole Simu Liu thing, and so then when they tweeted today that they're going to break the internet and they got a secret guest and all this, and I was just like, what? Like I was almost like, okay, is it going to be another joke? Yeah, I was. Yeah, so that was still when I learned that I was like, get the hell out of here, Alex fucking.
So Tree Rock is saying, what did you guys do to get me to commit to the stream? Well, it's funny because Matt asked me earlier this year. Yeah. And I had to cancel because of one reason or another. And he was like, I completely forgot I invited you. And he's like, what date can you make it? And I was like, let's make it on this date. So here I am. Yeah.
Booyah. And thank you for honoring that, Comix. You're a good man.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of Alex Jones, Keely Chow is saying the water in Gotham is turning the women into lesbians. Oh man, we got Simu Liu being renounced, and so yeah.
Well, do you have anything like? Because I know you have some like pretty insightful like information, just like ideas about the world comics. And do you have anything in particular that you're gonna like try to ask Alex about, or are you just gonna kind of let him run wild?
I don't know. I mean, I would like to talk to him about the Great Reset and, pick his brain on some of that stuff. That'd really be it. But, Alex Jones cannot be tamed. So it's going to be interesting. And
the stallion cannot be broken.
Yeah. I'm just going to roll with it, man.
Yeah.
Best I can.
Because I watched the whole, the entire Joe Rogan episode. It was the first time I went to Vegas, actually, back in December for like the pseudo meetup. And when I drove back to LA, which is like 4 hours. So I was just almost exactly enough time to listen to an entire Joe Rogan show, which was the one with, oh God, what's his name? The fat comedian, blonde guy, Tim Dillon and Alex Jones. And wow, that was crazy. Like, because Joe kept trying really hard to keep Tim on task and on topic and like really focus on one thing at a time. And when he would, it was really interesting because he would bring back stuff that he could prove, and it was like really fascinating, but it was like so much work. Hey, Noble Ario, I will not have that kind of negativity in this chat.
Yeah, man.
People are entitled to their opinions, man. I mean,
because Noble's a good dude, but he's a really like he's picked his side, so to speak, because of a lot of the kind of the BS that's happened in the community or fellowship or whatever.
Mm.
And so, I mean, hey, no, I love you to pieces, man, but we are going to talk about like FNT and
we love them.
stuff like that. So, you know, if this may just not be the episode for you, I appreciate you being here. As long as you're respectful,
Always.
You're welcome to stay, because, you know,
Yeah.
I do got respect for you. You're cool. You're really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess he's going
All
to
right. See you, brother. Come back next time.
Laters.
Yeah.
Later.
Hey, still appreciate you being here.
But yeah.
But
he is he's a fascinating guy. He's very polarizing at times, and you know, he is kind of a lot to handle. And he's so emotional and so like it's like you almost kind of pull back. But a lot of times, if you can dissect what he's saying, he's not wrong very often.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's so weird about it is, you know, I've always kind of, well, I kind of view him as being a bit of a crackpot, but more so just to be like an entertainer.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, some of the shit he's saying is actually pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think when I first encountered him, I was pretty deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole. And so like I wasn't doing a good job of parsing out what was BS and what was, you know what I mean, like authentic. And so I used to listen to his channel, but then he keeps going and going and going. And he's like one of those preachers, you know, who like casts God out of people, demons out of people, you know. He's like you know, like possessed.
Yeah. So like my thoughts on Alex Jones are like, because like when I got into the conspiracy theory stuff after he had already existed, so I kind of didn't. I was just like, he's just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or he like somebody said he's a persona. It's a gimmick. He may or may not be Bill Hicks. And so I just totally threw a lot of the baby out with the bathwater with him for a lot of stuff. Still don't know if he's not, you know, control ops or whatever, but he does have a tendency to have a high amount of stuff right. And you know, his case was really I'm not sure, maybe the patient zero of like corporate cancel culture, because you know, he was taking off all the platforms at the same time.
Yes.
And
that was like one thing I talked about. He was definitely the canary in the coal mine when it came to free speech.
Yeah, that's probably the phrase I was trying.
And I've never seen anyone so completely canceled like that before. That was the most intense.
Man,
that was
the first, man.
That was like 84 unpersoning kind of thing.
Yeah,
I would say kind of the first one was Gilbert Godfrey to a degree after his comments about 9/11, but it wasn't so much like what we see today because, you know, social media wasn't as big, and this was like I don't know if this was like right after 9/11. I don't remember, but he basically said some shit. It was a joke. People got offended, and he lost his contract with Aflac.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah,
but people have lost jobs before. Like Alex Jones losing, not like he wasn't. They wouldn't host his show any longer on servers. Like if I'm not mistaken, I'm fairly certain that's what happened. So it was like that's a whole other level. Like when it won't even be like you can't even allow. Like that's like the telephone company shutting off your service because like you're saying things over their lines they don't like. Like that's a whole new level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar thing. Sorry.
I was gonna say I'm trying to remember the first like public canceling that I remember, and I'm trying to find this woman's name.
Well, there was Imus was a big one.
Yeah, Imus is the first guy I remember. But I was gonna bring up a point. You talked about the telephone company. You guys remember Laura Loomer? Yeah. They fucking like she can't even bank.
Yeah, that shit's pretty out of control.
Now that's unpersoning shit. Like that's like you can't live as a functioning human anymore. Now, I mean,
Justine
and actually
Sasko
see it
was
on
her
both
name.
sides.
What was that comment?
Justine Sasko. This was back in 2015, and I want to say it actually happened. Oh, okay, no, it actually happened in 2013. This article is in 2015.
Okay.
Justine Sasko basically made a tweet. She was making a joke about going to Africa.
I remember her.
And she's like, "I hope I don't get AIDS." Haha, just kidding. I'm white.
Right.
And
then everything.
And then she legit. That was like the first incident of cancel culture that I recall that was on television.
I remember.
It was so fucking bizarre. I mean, people were waiting with bated breath for this woman to be fired.
Wow.
I still think it's Imus because I think Imus was years before that.
That was 07. That was
Yeah,
like,
and
Imus is like
he
07,
said-
06.
And he said the nappy-headed hose thing, and
yeah,
then
I mean, there was that, but I remember that. But this is like the one that was really revolved around social media. Yeah, I mean, I said that.
And then Imus did get a job back like a couple years later, didn't he?
yeah,
and you can make a justification for him being fired for his comments. But this is like the first time like somebody said something on social media that I recall that was not somebody in the spotlight like Imus and got canceled.
She's just a person.
She is just a person.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was she? What was she like? She was just
I don't remember what she did. I wouldn't say she worked in marketing or something like that, but
yeah, she wasn't like she wasn't a high profile individual.
No, she was not a high profile individual.
You're right. Yeah, that is unprecedented.
Her comment was going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white. That was her comment.
Right. Which is tasteless, but kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little like it's like it's fun. It's funny. It's fucked up. I'm not saying like, well, actually, statistically, I'm just saying it's a funny joke. She's just being a twat. Like she's just saying something mean to say something mean.
I'd say she's maybe kind of being hyperbolic.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, she kind of explained the tweet later on where she was kind of being sarcastic.
Yeah, it's a joke.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the problem with text. It's the problem with emails. It's the problem with Twitter. Anything where you can't get the intent of somebody's expression. You can say something and you can be kind of sarcastic and funny about it and realize that it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Whereas, when you read it in a comment or on Twitter, it's kind of sometimes difficult to determine, are they being serious or are they just being cheeky?
I think that's completely legitimate. I mean, I don't know how many times in a relationship I've texted a girl, she's texted me and completely misunderstood the tone because it's just written word. It doesn't have that. However, I do think in social media, a lot of times people are intentionally misunderstanding the tone so that they can use it as an opportunity to sound off about their political beliefs.
Definitely. Actually, I covered that just the other day with the T. Franklin. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with her. But she's like a comic book writer. And she ticks every checkbox they champion. She's like lesbian, disabled, autistic, black. Like seriously, all these things.
Got it all. She's got it all.
But she didn't make Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy gay enough, so Twitter hates her. And then she made a sarcastic comment. I'm serious.
That's hilarious.
She's only bisexual and not gay. And then she made a sarcastic comment like, "Yeah,
first off, I have to say that Harley Quinn is not bisexual. She's straight."
Well, unfortunately, Tim Drake isn't bisexual either, but what do you do? But she made a comment along those lines like, okay, yeah, I definitely told DC fuck all lesbians, let's make her bisexual, and then they got even madder at her.
Oh, and they believe oh my god, that's amazing.
She's one of those woke MFers, so it was definitely a you get what you effing deserve situation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I kind of enjoy that though. Not that I want to see anyone lose their gig like necessarily for things they say, but I do get satisfied when it comes from people who are like, they're directly in their camp and then they run out of people to attack, so they just start attacking each other and start eating their own.
You get what you fucking deserve, and on top of that, I'm at the point where it's like, we need to start going after these people too, just until they stop. And once they realize that cancel culture is a bad thing, then we can all stop trying to cancel the other side.
Interesting. I just don't want to lose our integrity. We've had this debate before.
I know. But here's the thing. It's like, I'm gonna use an analogy of warfare. When the other people are firing bullets at you, you can't throw fish at them, right?
Right. Yeah. That's true.
That's the thing. It's unfortunate. I don't like.
But if they're going into your house in the middle of the night and torturing your family, like I'm not going to start doing that.
No, I mean, that's illegal. First off.
I'm using the analogy.
An analogy, yeah.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. Like they're still, even in warfare, there's still limits that I'm personally not willing to cross. And I actually, that's kind of a subject that's in the news. Did you see? It happened twice. One, Candace Owens got denied for a COVID test.
I
heard about that.
That is messed up. I mean,
On the other
regardless of
hand,
how
though-
you feel about her, she should not be denied medical service. That's
No, yeah,
her
that's
ideology. That is such bullshit.
completely kind of evil and scary, honestly.
And I heard the point of view from someone who's like, I was like, damn, that's a smart point of view, because it's like, I would just be like, oh, this is my observation would be, oh, that's just purely political. You're just being dicks. And it's foolish because now you've given her an opportunity to get so much press for this little thing when all you had to do is give her the test.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you can't deny medical service based off of somebody's ideology or how they look, right?
Right. It's a violation
Because
of the Hippocratic Oath.
if that person dies, their blood is on your hands, essentially. I mean,
And that's the thing. And the point that was made, I think it was by Andrew Schultz or one of those guys on Flagrant 2. And he said that, okay, what if she does have it and now can't prove it and then goes and spreads it? You've got other people sick, potentially other people killed. That's on you because you wouldn't give her a test because you don't like her politics.
Yeah.
It's
like even in the real world, if like a blue-haired feminist is in an accident and I'm there, I'm gonna fucking run her age. This is another human being. Ideology be damned at this point.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do what I can to help this person. Now the scary thing is that feeling would probably not be reciprocated.
It's disturbing, but that's goes back to my point where it's like, I'm not going to reduce my, values or integrity because they would.
Yeah.
It's just not, I think what the strength of like people with honor and integrity is that they have that, and people observing can see it. If you both just pigs in the mud, then you're both just pigs in the mud on different side.
Yeah.
Apparently, Soul Assassin is saying Jimmy Kimmel seems to think that unvaccinated don't deserve medical care, and that's messed up. I've
seen doctors say that. There's one doctor in Florida said.
Okay, let's take that a step further. People who don't get the flu vaccine don't deserve medical care.
Hey, I'm gonna say this for my fat ass. Fat people don't deserve medical care.
Fat people that don't eat right and take care of themselves don't deserve medical care. I mean, how far do you want to fucking take this?
Yeah.
I'm
And
not gonna say healthcare is a human right, but I mean, if you had the money to pay for it, to run, to pay for the service, you should not be denied the service. I mean, this isn't like walking into a restaurant, no shirt, no shoes, no service. This is completely different.
It is completely
different.
Actually,
it's funny you mentioned a restaurant, because there's another case, and I'll be honest, I just saw the headline, so I didn't read it, but I guess there's like a diner that was actually anti-Biden, and said something about doesn't want to serve Biden supporters, and a bunch of Trump supporters, went there. But I'm like, that's the same thing. I don't want that either. That's to go back to the where do we draw the line on quote unquote equal combat sort of thing? It's I don't want to.
No, because we talked about
different. I mean, the whole idea of cancel culture right now, part of the reason why the left is winning is because of cancel culture. And it's and what do conservatives do? And people in the middle too. We just stumble around like fucking morons while, we're getting destroyed in the culture war because, they're willing to take these measures. I mean, for years I was against it too, but fuck, dude, I'm to the point where it's like, you get what you fucking deserve. If they're basically making the rules is what they're doing, and we're not playing by those rules, we're fucking losing.
Yeah, but they don't play by those rules either, because they only do it when it suits them. Like,
of course, but still, it's holding them accountable to their own standards. So,
but you've got three. I can give you three examples of prominent people using blackface in Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Justin Trudeau, and they're all still have their gigs. None of them got fired. They didn't give a shit because they're on the right side.
People were outraged. Not enough people were outraged. That's why.
We'd have to be like them, though. We'd have to actually get outraged. Like, those people get outraged. Like, we don't really care, but they actually do. So it's almost like we're playing at being upset about it. We don't.
Well, to a degree, we are. And here's the one of the things that Tim always brings up. Why do companies bend the knee to these people? Because the left is willing to throw a brick through their window.
Right. Exactly.
So let's throw a brick through the windows, and then there'll be no windows.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but the thing is, companies and cancel culture, they don't fear people on the middle and on the right, because we're not the one throwing bricks through windows.
Well,
I think that's part of.
I don't know that they totally don't fear us. I mean, I think okay, are you willing to, tear down statues of people you don't like that are on the left? Like, there's certain
No,
I'm just not
we
willing
have to find a better way of doing it, right? And part of that is going and organizing and saying, I'm not going to buy these products anymore because of
Well, that's different
what they're
because
doing.
you're not entitled to buy anything.
No.
Yeah, that's different. Boycotts I respect, but you're
the
not
thing
going.
is, we need to hit him in the pocketbook, right? We need to hit him where it hurts, and that's where the money is. It's the reason why, if you're mad at Disney, don't go fucking buy their services, don't buy their products, don't see their movies.
But when you say it like group versus group, it's not a fair comparison because the right and the left are not the same thing in this country. The left, it's like an infiltration on like every major institution. It's government now, it's media, it's big corporations, it's big tech, and they all have like some sort of like that kind of hive mind movement. So they all kind of move together like waves in the ocean. So like when you have the right, it's like it's not really the same comparison because it's not like this sort of like bureau, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the individualism is its own weakness at times, right? Because I refuse to be a collectivist, but maybe we should function a little bit more collectively, but still remain individuals.
I mean, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, kind of thing.
Not so much like that. Part of it is. It's like I don't want to take it to this extreme because sometimes I feel like it will get there at some point. How far are you willing to go to protect your freedoms? What is the line you won't cross?
I mean, that's probably a personal question everyone needs to like ask themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. One thing I always like think about is the fact that everybody is not explicitly binary right or left or anything.
Oh no, absolutely.
In fact, I still think the majority are normies who don't really know what's going on. Like when a lot of people who you start yelling at these school boards about critical race theory or having like crazy ass Marxist teachers, they were that many days old when they found out this stuff was happening.
Yeah.
Well, even though
look at the Antifa teacher that when people found out when Project Veritas exposed that guy, how quickly he was fired.
But he was doing it for years. It took them forever to realize it.
I know.
That's my point. Most normies don't even know this is happening. They don't know that a culture war has ever taken place. They have no idea.
I can guarantee you that incident is definitely opening the eyes of parents right now.
Yeah, slowly but surely. But my point is that they don't know what's going on. They're not a part of this. They are.
Right. No, you're right.
But it's true. You're right, dude. Like, and it's staggering to people that I assumed were kind of like hipper to this. Like my mom, I think up until last year, and she probably still wouldn't know. Had not heard the term SJW.
Mm-hmm.
Just hadn't. She's an educator. She's not like, she's not like some old lady like in her attic knitting. You know what I mean? She's an educator. So she's around, young people and an ex-girlfriend of mine who's a real smart chick. She's with it. Never heard that term. We're talking in 2020. She's never heard the term SJW. It's not even it's not even a current, like it's not new. That's like a quick.
It's not even used anymore, really.
It's almost passe, and it's like but they never were aware of it. And it's like I used to sound off about this stuff to just whoever the fuck would listen, and they look at me like I'm crazy. But it's like it's because they're not really either not sensitive to it or they don't care or what, a myriad of reasons. But there are a lot of people who are not. They truly don't grasp what is happening.
Yeah.
And that's the strength.
And that's really. The big thing is I want people to understand I'm not advocating for violence or a civil war or anything like that because nobody wants that. Nobody. It's gonna cause a lot of suffering. And the main thing is that, like what we're seeing with Australia, if you live in Australia, you need to stand up for your rights.
Yeah.
You need to fight this authoritarianism that is being implemented there because the issue, which I brought up on my stream last Thursday, is it's not going to stop there. It's not going to stop at Australia. It's slowly going to creep all over the world. Game. Yeah.
I mean, that's, I saw that something with the UN and Biden. I didn't really get too in depth, but something that he's trying to have everyone register their guns through that or something like that. Through the UN. Did you see that?
No.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
Why am I heard that?
It's like a treaty thing And I wish I knew more and I was like more educated, not just reading headlines and being too depressed to read the story.
You know, I'll tell you this, and maybe I'm just
here's the thing, man. It's this is the same thing I tell my mom, is that you need to be aware of what's going on, but you can't let it control your life.
Yep. Or consume you.
That's the biggest thing. It's like, I understand. I mean, I talk about a lot of, I won't say dark stuff, but stuff that is very, very much on the black pill side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't let myself get black pilled by it. What I try and do is, obviously prepare my audience for what's going on, prepare myself. But I don't let it consume my every waking moment. I still try and have fun. I still watch entertainment. I watch other things, but at the same time, I try and, like I said, educate myself on what is going on and stay on top of it and prepare for the worst. But again, pray for the best.
Well, I always like to use the wisdom that I got from Nathaniel Hawthorne. I don't know if you ever read this book, Young Goodman Brown, but it's about this guy who's like this kind of idealized guy. He's really positive. He's a young man. He's in this like marriage with this woman, and they're super happy together, but he's got to go on this journey. And his wife's like, don't go. And he's like, no, I gotta go. And so he eventually goes, and he's on this journey, and he sees all these horrible things. And eventually at the end, he sees everyone from his community basically being like devilish. Like he sees like, a coven of witches that are like, the priest and like the constable. He sees like a woman like burying a newborn in a shallow grave so she doesn't have to admit that she had a baby out of wedlock. Sees all these horrible things. And then he comes back to the home and he's never the same. He's despondent, he's sad, and he just dies miserable. And his wife is also miserable. And like this girl showed me that book, and I was like, that was like the most beautiful book I ever read. She's like, why? I was like, because the moral is, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Don't let the evils of the world turn you miserable.
Mm-hmm. And Max is right. You got to start local.
I think that
best way for you to affect change is to focus locally.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the critical race thing is starting to work.
Yeah,
or at least people are noticing.
Mm-hmm.
People noticing. That's honestly the thing. Like, I don't think we need to do cancel culture. I think we just need, if more normies saw that video of the girl getting beaten up in France, a lot of them like, oh wait, maybe that is a step too far.
I don't even know if I saw that video. I don't know what you're talking about.
Somebody mentioned it in the chat. Fucking girl, she didn't have her vaccine card, and
she wasn't vaccinated at all. She didn't have a vaccine passport.
Is that what it was?
She didn't have the vaccine passport, and was basically assaulted by the cops, and they basically looked like they were riot police. I mean, they're wearing helmets and armor, and you had another civilian dragging her off with the cops, and they were arresting her, and you had people filming it, and then the cops started accosting the people filming it. And I don't know if this is related or if it's even the same mall. Kai is saying, let's see the video.
Okay, I can look for it.
I can pull it up real quick. Let me switch monitors here.
See who gets it first, I guess.
Well, there was another story I saw. Nina Infinity tweeted it. And speaking of which, in just a few hours, if you guys haven't had enough of us this evening, me and Vigilante at 9 p.m. Central, 10 Eastern are going to be over on Nina Infinity's channel talking about all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, but Nina is badass.
She is badass. I like her a lot. But she tweeted earlier a story about this is a Fox 5 Las Vegas story. It says a Las Vegas mom says a CCSD substitute teacher taped masks to the faces of multiple students at a local elementary school.
You found it.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, that's fucked up.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. The people are insane. And shout out to Nina, by the way, because not only did she invite her on our show, we both have the positive story giving. We actually do, because she does like a positive stream, and I started off doing positive stream, so I just like that.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Because we got to be reminded about positivity, because
absolutely
this crazy shit's happening in the world. So this has 5.9 million views, which is a lot. But like, if millions and millions of people, if my mom saw this, if the normies I work with saw this, how differently would they think about the crazy mask mandates? I've heard people, I don't know why, or not mask, I'm just mad, vax mandates.
Yeah.
because I've heard people on the wild. Oh yeah, they shouldn't.
Should we also
allow-
mention we're not doctors, just to cover our ass?
Yeah, we're not doctors. Consult your
It's
doctor.
my channel.
Okay,
fuck
YouTube.
it.
There's no MDs here. Okay,
Susan,
got it.
go fuck yourself. Okay.
Yeah, go elsewhere.
All right, let's play the video. Let me know if you can't hear it, but I think you guys should be able to. Can you hear it?
Yep.
Yeah.
You see this riot police.
Is there any context to what the hell happened before this?
No.
So,
But still, regardless of what's going on, just look at how they're treating this woman.
I mean, they're beating the shit out of her.
Yeah.
They're really fucking her up.
Her and her, it's like
I mean, how many cops is that? Like what? 12?
Will you pause this real quick, Fidge? Will you just pause this real quick?
Yeah.
And the only reason I asked the question is because how many of these videos has the left used to like create outrage? And then you find out that, 2 minutes before they were grabbing a cop's gun and punching him in the face, till he was bleeding. So it's like, I'm not saying that this isn't proof of that. I just need a little more context before I'm like, this is definitely over, oppression.
That's a fair, just to want that type of context.
Is a fair argument. I think part of the issue is that sometimes you don't always get that full context because
True.
sometimes
Very true.
It depends. If the video is edited to basically trim something out, then yeah, that's messed up.
But obviously, that's not what
if it's heat of the moment and somebody gets their phone and starts filming and you lose what started the initial fight, obviously that's an issue. But for the most part, what has happened, and there's another video, like I said, I don't know if it's connected to this one
because these cops aren't
even the same mall. But basically, you had a bunch of people that were unvaccinated storm this mall and basically push the riot police back.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, all those because I'm on the 9gag a lot, which is like a meme site, and it's got like a lot of like cultures from all over the world, and you get a lot of snotty Europeans who are just like, oh, Americans with their guns, America with their guns. Yeah, I bet you weren't. I bet you wish you weren't so poo-poo to that idea now.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure is that like I said with Australia, I mean, Australians lost their guns in 1996 because of a mass shooting.
Yep.
Single mass shooting. And for the most part, they made it very, very difficult for them to own firearms. They can still do it, but it is legitimately a very onerous process. You have to make sure you qualify each month.
Wow.
Or you basically have to surrender your firearms.
Each month.
Not a year, not once a year, once a month.
That's crazy.
And I was talking to an Australian about this. So, and Luke Rakowski said it best. What can a government do when the populace is unarmed? Anything it wants.
They want, yeah.
Yeah. And so the biggest issue here is, I don't think the left will ever do what they can to get rid of the actual Second Amendment. I think the way that they're going to implement gun control is by suing the piss out of the manufacturers. Because we've already seen this. That started. You have the Sandy Hook parents going after with the gun manufacturers. So if they can sue the manufacturers into oblivion, well, they don't have to get rid of your Second Amendment right. They just got rid of the guns.
Yeah, they'll find a way around it for sure.
Yeah, all they have to do is get rid of the ammo, and that is they don't have to change the law. Don't have to change.
Well, humans are pretty resourceful. The 3D printing thing is, granted, it's not mass producing, but I've seen people 3D print their own weapons.
Yeah, you can. But the big thing is, Loose Cannon 84 pointed out, is ammunition. That's the biggest key. And you can still press your own ammo, provided you can find the components. And the biggest one being primer.
That's the tough one to come by?
Yeah, I would say. Because you can, for the most part, if you save your shells, your casings, you can go and reuse them. You can buy molds to make bullets. All you need is get the lead.
Or little toy soldiers that your son has and that carries around with him.
Yeah. And then you can go and get the powder, or you can make your own powder.
Sorry, that was a reference to the Patriot, by the way. I don't know if anyone.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right. It's been a while. But yeah, at that point, the biggest thing that's going to hold you back is primer at that point.
Because that's probably the thing that needs to be manufactured. You probably can't just get that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And real quick, and I've messed up your name for Reservoir Bram. said that the shop owner called the cops on a woman that didn't have the vaccine passport. She wouldn't leave the shop, and she wouldn't leave the shop until the cops were dispatched. She was trying to leave, and that's when the video starts.
Okay.
Wow.
Even then, I hate this idea of people surrendering their rights like this.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I'm with you.
She should have left, but at the same time, that's dissent.
I mean, are you saying she should have left because the business has the right to? No. I'm saying I'm saying where your principles come down.
Yeah, exactly. It's where your principles come down to. If somebody told me to leave, I would personally leave, depending on the situation. If I'm legit trying to protest,
that's crazy though. But could you imagine if businesses would ban people who are HIV positive?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, or some like analogy there. Like, I know it's like. But like the fact that you didn't get a vaccine and so you can't. And the thing that's so fucked up about the jab to me is that like it doesn't prevent the fucking disease. All it does is make your symptoms less, but it doesn't make it any less likely to spread the thing.
Worse. No, it's supposed to make it less. And I brought this up with YouTube, so no one's lying. This is not medical misinformation. If you actually read the documentation when you go get your coup shot, it says does not guarantee to prevent COVID.
And it doesn't. How many people have gotten the jab where they've gotten the disease? So it doesn't even do that. Well, they say it's RNA therapy, so it's meant to lessen your symptoms. Not all
of them are RNA. I mean, the Janssen one is actually a live virus. Whereas, but you do have the RNA, and that's the majority of the vaccines that are out there are RNA. But the Johnson & Johnson / Janssen one is actually a live virus.
Okay, so then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that I'm not entirely. But my understanding is that because they got to get booster shots. Basically, the whole thing is to prevent your symptoms from being worse, which is okay. I can understand that kind of. But at the same time, why would a private business give a shit? It's got nothing to do with them. The only person it matters to is the hospitals. So what are we all collectively here for the hospitals? Like, what kind of a weird thing is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's not on face value. This is not about health, as Ripper has said many a time. It's
about implementing authoritarianism.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is about Agenda 2030 stuff that Comix has talked about a bunch on his channel and on Unsafe Space and other places. And Bruce Lombardo was talking about he a guy who just had the coup. Said the vaccinated were dying as much as the unvaccinated.
Yeah, but they like to say it's the unvaccinated. And again, I have no proof on that. It's something I haven't really looked into.
I don't even have.
And Mags, I can't say whether the Johnson & Johnson one is better or not. All I can say is that it requires one shot rather than two. So
it's all about control.
Yeah.
And I mean,
that's the only thing I can deduce.
Yeah, it's about control.
Unfortunately, you know what? Unfortunately, most I just said most people don't know. Most people don't even know that the vaccine doesn't. Oh, okay. Allegedly, I don't know. Whatever the fucking buzz phrase we use. This stream might get fucked up, but I'm not monetized anyway. That the vaccine is it doesn't necessarily prevent the disease.
No,
from happening. I think most people still are believing it does what it says it does, even with people who have gotten it still getting sick. And the CIA is coming for us. They just took Matt right out the thing. So hopefully the rest of us show up. All right. I guess he has escaped their grasp because he's back. All right. And something's going on with the lighting.
Yeah.
There we go. Thought the CIA was just messing with everything.
Yeah. So you spread misinformation on the internet.
Yeah. It says people are misinformed. People still think that when they have a mask on, they're preventing themselves from getting sick. I'm telling you.
No. Unless you have like an N95, it's like there's no point.
But that's what they think. That's what average normies think. So really the miseducation of the normie is a huge reason why you have somebody say snitch culture, because they really think they're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. They really do. These police, they're just doing their job. The shop owners just doing what they're told.
Well, I mean, where else have we seen snitch culture, man?
Yeah. Somebody mentioned a certain country in Europe.
In almost all totalitarian regimes, there's snitch culture. It's part of it all the time.
It wasn't just the Nazis. It was also it was also in Soviet Russia. It was also in communist China.
Yep.
I mean, it's
still is.
Yeah. But that's part of it. That's how you maintain control. total it doesn't look good. And because I was trying to keep an open mind, because I just seen it go off so many times the other way, where it's like, oh, you see what's bad in a video, but you don't see the other 15 minutes in each direction that kind of contextualize it.
It's fair. I mean, it's the same thing with the George Floyd stuff. I mean, when sometimes you do need that additional context to fully understand the situation, because and the media has been guilty of this shit for years. If it bleeds, it leads, and they will definitely selectively edit video to
or just leave things out of the story. Like that one guy who got killed in Staten Island or whatever, the guy that got the chokehold guy or whatever, and they're what they left out was he'd been arrested.
Eric Gardner.
He'd been arrested like 35 times, and like 25 of them were for the exact same crime that the cops were called on him for. So it's like, that doesn't mean he should die. It just means like, oh, well, what is he just trying to do? It's like he's a routine problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're constantly getting involved with the police. Like, you're constantly in issues. Like, that doesn't, like, once again, it doesn't mean he's dead, but that's important context that you're completely leaving out of the story.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was breaking the law. He was breaking the law several times. But I do feel that when it comes to policing, the force that is being used needs to be justified, right?
I agree. Yeah, no, I'm not, like I said, I'm not arguing in favor of the cops there. Just context matters, and it's important to put all the facts out there and let people make up their mind. But
sometimes that force is justified, and that's the big thing that we need to understand. And part of the issue, like what we saw with George Floyd, is that not every incident is justified, and not all incidents are unjustified. You got to wait for context to come out around what's going on, but people just want to use it to push their narrative. I mean, the one thing, and I'm just as guilty as other people, quite frankly, everybody. There's plenty of white people who've been atrociously murdered by cops, and nobody knows their name. I mean, there's the one guy in Vegas who was on his hands and knees, begging for his life. His pants start sagging. He pulls them up, and the cops shoot him because they think he's reaching for a gun. Mm-hmm. First off, they should just told him to lay down on the ground, and then they could have cuffed him. But they made him crawl to them, which is disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Nobody talks about that case.
No,
nobody talks about it.
It doesn't suit a narrative.
No.
I've talked about the Tony. I thought you were going to talk about the Tony Tempa case. I talked about that a little bit last year when the George Floyd thing happened earlier in the early videos on the channel. He was a guy who had mental issues. I think he was in Dallas, and they just basically, it was very similar. It wasn't like a knee, but he was lied down and he got basically choked out.
Yeah.
Or something with his breathing was the cause of death. I think in general, hey, let's link it to this. I this is why I was never a back the blue guy, because police in general, there's a natural amount of power they just have. And if misused, it could go really fucking bad. Or even in a situation, if we're talking about some of the incidents that we brought up, just in the situations where there's gray area, it's just shit can go wrong, basically.
Yeah,
I think
there has to be a certain level of accountability and a certain level of grace at the same time, right? Because I mean, you have these people that are literally putting their lives on the line, going out and taking care of things, and they don't know. And if you're too casual about it, that day could be your last day if you're not careful. And I can't, blame police officers for being afraid sometimes. I mean, we're all human, and there's always that comment of well, if you're afraid, don't be a police officer. It's like you're fucking human. You're not going to find anyone out there
that's not a real thing.
Yeah, it's not. That's not real. It's not realistic. Obviously, if some people probably shouldn't be if they don't have the backbone for it. I mean, it's a tough job. You got to have the mental and emotional fortitude to be able to do it, because you're going to see some horrible shit, and you have to be quick thinking and know how to judge a situation.
Well, that's why I thought the best clip that came out around the time of that thing was on Rogan's podcast, that former Navy SEAL, that guy Jocko Willink or something like that.
Yeah.
And he would talk, and he basically, detailed exactly what it's like to be in those kind of stressful situations, and kind of, especially going over how long cops' hours are and this, that, and the other. And he explained how much training they would have for just a single deployment, and how the answer is more training. not less. And it was all, and
Yes.
he detailed all
Absolutely.
these reasons as to like, and it made perfect sense. And it was like, yeah, that's a rational thing. And then a lot of criticisms that were coming out was like, it only takes this many hours to be a police officer and this, that, and the other. At the same time, they're saying defund the police. It's like your solution is in direct contradiction to like what would make the outcome better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Well, and the other thing too is like, I'm sure like with most things, policing is a perishable skill if you don't practice it.
Sure.
Just like
I'm
shooting.
sure. I mean, yeah, you see a lot of cops that are fat. Like, obviously, you're not up to the standards that, you were when you went through the police academy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so, right there, that's it. Just your physical health has been diminished. So there's no way you're as effective a police officer as you were when you first started.
yeah.
But one of my, and this is not a, what's the best way of phrasing this? This is not a criticism of the police. This is more of a criticism of the state, specifically cities. Is that one of the biggest issues with the police is the fact that they are often used as a revenue arm of the state, rather than actually going out and building relationships with communities, which is what they should be doing. And there was a point in time in our history where they did do that. And neighborhoods should be familiar with their local police officer. They should know them by name. There should be that
vice
relationship.
versa.
Yeah.
Police should be familiar with neighborhoods and the neighborhoods they police. I've said the police there should be like some sort of radius from where they live to where the area they police. Different cities have different geographical situations, but like you shouldn't be policing an area that you don't at least live close to or know something about or not involved.
I mean, for the most part, I mean, I agree with that. I don't know how realistic it is, but the big thing is that we need to take the revenue aspect or the revenue generation aspect out of policing. It's like civil forfeitures, which are just dreadful laws. And a lot of police use that to fund their departments. I mean, if you're traveling around with a lot of money on hand, let's say you're going to go put a down payment on a piece of property. And you have basically a bag full of cash that you're going to give the guy that you're buying the property from, because it's a for sale by owner. It's not going to, it's owner finance, et cetera, et cetera. You get pulled over. Cops like, what's in the bag? It's money. They can confiscate it because of the fucking drug laws, and they don't have to give it to you. They have to give it back to you. They can legit take that money and use it for their police department, which is horrible. And a lot of that is because of the anti-terrorism stuff and then the anti-drug stuff. And on top of that, this is what the Fed's trying to do now. There's a cap to the amount of money that you can transfer between accounts,
right?
Without it being flagged.
Sure.
They're trying to lower that down to like, I think it's like $500 or $600.
What?
Yeah.
Who is?
The Fed. I think I don't remember if it's the FBI. I'd have to look into it again.
$600? That's like most financial transactions. Probably.
Exactly. That's what they're going for.
Wow. Because like it kind of does make sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like having $10,000 be a flaggable amount. If you're making that much money in drugs and you have like no proof of income, it does make policing a little bit easier. Like obviously it's not.
Does it? No, it doesn't. So like, here's my thoughts on this. And this is my thoughts on a lot of laws in general. We just talked about Australia, right? They don't have guns. Why? Because of a scare tactic. What is it called? Something release, something response. The thing where you have something that happens and then you give a response to it that's a permanent law that ends up having more
like
impact.
Reactionary thinking.
Well, it's reactionary policy for sure, but it goes back to don't let a good crisis go to waste, and that happens every time whenever there's a mass shooting. And again, that word gets misused. It's really a spree killing is what it is. It's not a mass shooting. It's a spree killing.
Well, but then they can use it to bolster their statistics and make it seem like it happens every day all over the country, which it does, but not in the way. Well,
mass shootings happen more often than not, but you have to understand what is the definition of a mass shooting? It's anyone.
It's whatever I want to make my argument. Comix.
It's basically 3 more people who have been shot,
right? Not
killed, shot. So any kind of drive-by shooting, gang shooting, a lot of this actually applies to gang shootings are considered to be mass shootings. Yeah. And it's how they're able to get away with calling saying how many. Yeah, basically every week in Chicago, you're spot
that's
on.
not an exaggeration.
No, it's not.
It's not.
But that's the issue, is that we're not classifying what it actually is. The guy that shot up that gay club in Florida, that was a spree killer. It's not a mass shooting, but they don't use that term because they want to, like you said, manipulate the public, because you could say we had X number of mass shootings this year, and again, when people think of mass shootings, because of what the media is saying, they think spree killings, and that's actually not the case.
Oh yeah. They're like completely integrity-less liars. That's why I refuse to play their games, because it's what makes them so vile to me. It's like they'll be like, this like, we need to get rid of legal guns or whatever. Like that'll be their argument. And then because there's X amount of, killings, gun deaths in America. And you're like, whoa, hold on, slow fucking down. That statistic does not support this argument, but they'll just use it to make the argument so that, because it sounds, like salacious.
Yeah, they always blame guns. They don't even think about the fact that a lot of the killings are done with guns that are already illegal, where there are people who already are not legally allowed to have guns because they're felons or whatever else, or they got these guns with filed off serial numbers, whatever the case may be. And those are the guns that are doing the majority of these killings, or a good portion of it. I don't have the statistics in front of me, so don't yell at me. But I know a significant percentage, and they never account for the fact that, wait a second, a lot of these killings are happening in situations where the laws on the books should technically prevent them, but they don't, because people can still get guns.
Because it goes back to the whole thing we've talked about, which is like, policy versus impact, where it's like I hate to always point them out, but they seem to be so goddamn consistent. The left, like, you know what I mean? Like they just keep doing policy for years, for decades, going on a century now, where it's like they just continue to introduce these policies that don't have the proper impact or the impact that they say they're looking for, but they just keep hammering that nail and then banging that drum.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Speaking of hammers, Bruce Lombardo has this statistic. Funny how there's more murder with hammers than handguns annually. Don't let the government know that. Else,
and again, that's another manipulation, is the number of people. They say gun violence. Well, what do they include in gun violence? They include suicides, which consists of the majority of gun violence.
Yeah, majority of gun deaths.
Yeah. Which
is, that's not good. You know what I mean?
No,
but
it's not. But
indicative of a different problem.
It is. Yeah. But again, they're going to go, well, if they just took that gun away, maybe that person wouldn't have died. And it's like, well,
they didn't have access to the gun. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue.
And they're not entirely wrong, but they're going to try and use that as justification for, removing people's firearms. And statistically speaking, people who have guns in their home are more likely to commit suicide with them.
Sure. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. It's completely reasonable, because it's much easier and quicker than it would be, any other method.
Yeah.
That's it. I actually have a friend that was in a totally different country where guns were like way harder to get, and they jumped in front of a train. So it's like, people, if they really feel that bad, they will figure something out. Unfortunately, I don't think. That's I do agree statistically, because when you're going through a crisis, the availability would probably make it more likely for it to happen.
Well, it's about access, right? It's like it's like when they say that homes that have guns are more likely to be used on their domestic partner. And again, it's not wrong, because it's about accessibility, right? I mean, if there's no guns, what would people use? Whatever's available.
So, Cain kill Abel with a rock.
Yeah.
So
exactly, it's like it's ease of use.
Yeah, but there's no reason to leave that. There's no reason to leave that out of the conversation, because then you're just giving them ammunition, so to speak, like for a counterpoint. So you know what I mean. So it's like, it's important to acknowledge that.
Yeah, you have
while
to,
not
you have to acknowledge it, but you have to understand that it's like, if that gun wasn't there, that something else will be used. They act like by removing the firearm, it's going to stop the murder or stop, the.
Just look at England. It doesn't seem to have stopped.
No,
anything.
It hasn't stopped.
Stabbing
Shit there. Stabbings have
they
gone
stab
up.
The shit out of each other. They're slicing each other to bits. Speaking of slicing each other to bits, I won't have to. This fucking Ogre Squash just gave me $101.61. Oh wait, yeah. You know what? We have something special for him. I forgot. I almost forgot. But here you go.
Tremble before the might of the Ogre Squasher.
There we go. Shout out
Ogre
to Matt. He
Squasher.
made that. So thank you, Ogre Squasher, for your insanely generous super chat.
Yes, sir.
Assault. Now we got people talking about assault rocks.
Yeah.
in the chat.
Well, I mean,
But thank you, Ogre Squasher.
Assault
Seriously.
Spatula.
You're the man. It's always mind blowing. So I made that little stinger for you. I hope you enjoy it. Hale, good to see you again, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. And yeah, like I said, can't kill Abel with a rock. People kill people with their hands. You get rid of guns in the UK. They just stab each other. Like the human
They're
condition.
talking, they're talking about getting rid of knives too. I mean,
I have heard that. I don't know
Yeah.
how they're going to cook.
it's like then you have acid attacks. They have there's all these other things. I mean, you literally had
People will
somebody
start using
assault people with a
Windex.
vehicle.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Where do you stop? That's why a lot of this authoritarianism. I really
It
wish
stops
we
when
could,
you
like,
plant a chip in everybody's head that controls their behavior. That's where it stops.
and don't give them ideas.
Uh,
Because they already have the
they're already
ideas.
working
sure
on it.
that's they've already,
Tesla's got that mind link. So yeah, and apparently is acid a popular thing in East London? Is that what they're doing out there too?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's been used quite a bit. Acid
Jesus.
attacks in London. It's been a while since I've heard about one. But yeah, it's
It's horrifying.
yeah, it's like a criminal
That is
offense to own or buy a corrosive substance.
What if you work in something like that needs it, and it's like what you do?
Probably got to jump through a bunch of
Probably.
government
I
hoops
don't
and pay
remember
money.
this, but we went through like the knife carrying laws in London that one time, where it's like, yeah, it's like I carry a pocket knife. It's a legal blade. It's under 3 or 4 inches. I don't remember what it is, the actual law here in Texas, but it's not.
Are you
fixed
going to
blade.
exercise your newly found right to open carry?
Well, considering I already have the permit to do so,
Oh, okay.
I honestly I just need to get a conceal and carry holster. Is what
I've
I
seen
need
the
to do.
one that I think is pretty cool. That kind of like pulls, like it sort of stays in your pants. And you like pull it out. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's kind of like it's sort of fabric-y. You sort of like put it inside your belt and then pull it out. It's pretty nifty.
Yeah. So it's finding one, and obviously when I actually start carrying, I'm going to make sure I have insurance, because that's a big thing. Because God forbid you're ever involved in a self-defense shooting, you need to make sure that you have the insurance to protect yourself, so you don't go bankrupt defending yourself.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, or you could always get those fully automatic
knives.
And
Fully
Punk
automatic
said it
knives.
used to be 4 inches. I'm not sure now. That is what she said. I had to do it. I just had to.
That's what she said.
But real quick, who knew the Saltmost Flow is from North London? So let us know, is the acid attack still happening out there? Inquiring minds want to
Yeah,
know.
I think it's cultural, if you know what I
Is it
mean.
a cultural thing?
It is.
The superior British acid attack.
It's not
The
not that
distinguished
culture.
The distinguished
Not
British
the-
acid attack.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there are a certain group of people who have immigrated to the
Yeah,
UK that
imported culture.
have a history of
Yeah,
using
yeah.
acid to
Yeah,
attack
I think I
people
know
with.
which culture
Mhm.
you're talking about.
pretty fucking horrifying.
Yeah, it is. And yes, this is if anyone's ever saw the movie 8 Mile, you don't want to be Cheddar Bob. Never point a firearm at your junk. Keep it out of your belt, dummy. So that's Wookiee supremacy saying.
I'm gonna write this tip down. Thank you, Wookie.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny. 'Cause, I mean, he's right, but there's also appendix carry. Some people like appendix carry. I don't know how comfortable that would be sitting in the car, though.
I want a shoulder
like-
holster, like an old cop from an 80s movie.
You got to be careful with shoulder holsters, because when you draw, it's who you basically muzzle swipe to get that sucker out. That's why, honestly, you're better off something on your hip.
I think I would feel kind of silly walking around with a gun, honestly, like a well-displayed pistol. I don't know.
That's the thing. I'm not too big on open carry. I don't want people to know what I'm carrying, because if you're in a situation and you're in your convenience store and it's getting robbed, you're the first target.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know. It's just maybe I'm just from the coastal elite, but it kind of just I feel like it makes people anxious. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
it makes people anxious because they're not used to it. That's the issue. I mean, when you're not used to seeing something and you see something out of the ordinary, it's going to freak you out.
sure.
I mean, Imagine living in middle America and never seeing a woman in a burqa before, and then seeing her for the first time. It's gonna freak you out. It's like, you're not prejudiced. You're just reacting to something that is out of the ordinary.
Right.
I had an archaeology professor who had a really fascinating story. He used to work in Africa, and he went to an area where they've never seen white people before, and he came across this native woman. She saw him and freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And the reason why is she thought he was a ghost.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like back in the 90s. But yeah, I mean, it's actually, I don't know when that happened to him. Maybe it was like in the 80s for him, but
Probably more than that. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, shit like that happens. It's like if you don't encounter something before that you've never seen that's very foreign, it kind of freaks you out. I mean, the first time I ever went to Europe, I mean, not that I go to Europe a lot, I was a kid, and you had people with machine guns sifting through our luggage, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in America.
Yeah. What part of Europe was it? What the?
Oh God, I think it was Germany, maybe Austria.
Huh.
I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, it's something that you're
I
not
guess
used
like
to.
yeah. I mean, I saw Quarter Black shared some post about people kind of open carrying, like, and it was like taking like a AK to Walmart, and I'm like, okay, I don't really think you're doing this for safety.
I'm not a big fan of open carrying rifles. Like that.
To me, it was basically just, you might as well have just worn a shirt that says, fuck you, I care about the Second Amendment, and anyone who disagrees is a jerk. Because it's like,
it's definitely
just a statement.
It's definitely being political. But the thing is that a lot of people don't understand. And I know that it was funny when that law passed in Texas. Yeah, people like, oh my God, people are going to be carrying, AR-15s everywhere. It's like, you can already do that. You can already open carry long rifles. It's been
I didn't even know that
for a very long time. Yeah.
I just think it's obnoxious. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it.
I agree with you. I think it is a bit obnoxious to do that.
I mean, you want to keep it in your truck, whatever. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having the rifle or whatever. But just going into Walmart and there's a fucking AR with a banana clip hanging off you. I mean, really?
First off, ARs don't have banana clips.
There we go.
That's more AKs, but.
Well, you know what I mean. A large magazine.
Just go 30-round magazine. That's what
large
it is.
Magazine.
It's not even that large.
About to get
30 rounds, whatever. I'm just saying, like, it's the whole point.
That is a standard capacity for a rifle. It is. Yeah, be it an AR-15 or an AK-47, 30 rounds is standard.
Right, for weapons designed to be used in combat. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm with loose cannon, aka L1-2. Let's just get bazookas out here, flamethrowers. I'm a fucking, even though I am as gun-tarded as Matt, I have different opinion. I am like
gun-tarded,
complete guns, because I know they shoot and bad things happen, but like, if you get hit by one, but I am completely Second Amendment absolutionist, because like the idea that a piece of paper is going to stop somebody who can get a gun from getting a gun has been disproven millions of times over. So why not? If you cannot protect the populace, wouldn't Chicago be? Hey, they have, or at least had, the history of very severe gun laws, and they had an increased amount of shooting, even amongst similar.
They had the most gun laws in any city, and they had the worst shootings.
Their counter argument to that would be, and by the way, I don't support this. I think it's bullshit and it infantilizes people. But what their counter argument would be that right over the border, I think in Indiana, the laws are incredibly lax, and you can go buy them without like any kind of paperwork at like, those flea markets or whatever, and then drive back to Chicago with the gun. Which to me, that doesn't fucking prove anything, because they still are breaking gun laws by doing that.
So you're saying.
Well, just because to show you that they're not going to pay attention to the fucking law.
Right. So it's like, it just kind of proves the point that the strict gun laws do nothing, or that you're enforcing them like garbage.
is you're basically hampering your law-abiding citizens.
That's all it ever does. Honestly,
all you're doing.
We've had some complex discussions about that, but ultimately, that's all it really ever ends up doing.
That's my point. The idea is like, listen, you currently cannot stop a criminal with a felony who supposedly cannot get a gun. I don't think some states you can get your right back, but for the most part, cannot get a gun ever again if they have a felony, but they still are able to get guns. You're not going to protect the citizen by restricting their ability to get guns if there are already criminals who are able to. So that, like, you might as well go the other way with it. So I'm much more of a, even though I have no expert knowledge of them, I'm a Second Amendment absolutionist. Shall not be infringed.
You're not gonna hear, you're not gonna hear arguments from me because the arguments opposing it are, way worse, and I think end up with more problems than anything. You know what I mean? Like then, like I don't like their solutions.
Yeah,
I just think, like we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, again, criminals do not obey laws, so that's the point.
That's why they're criminals, right?
Yeah, but then they always do the infantilization thing. Oh, well, where they come from, they don't understand, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
blah.
bullshit.
And unless
I mean,
the only way
these are adults, they know what the fuck they're doing.
Know exactly what they're doing. As a Slitherclaw, Slitherclaw,
but
it's a matter of cash on hand, not the law.
Even if that was the case, all of your policies ultimately end up perpetuating that culture. So even if you believe that, you're not doing anything to fix it. Well,
because if they fix the problem, they have no one to look to them for safety or as a savior.
It's power. I think it's power. I think it's just about having like large swaths of the culture. Just they're now what's the word, like betrothed to you. Now they're stuck with you. Like they just have to. Like,
yeah. You're right. It's about power, and it's part of the reason why they want to get rid of guns, because they can much more easily control the populace that way. Mm-hmm. Because you can literally roll tanks through the streets and have soldiers with machine guns patrolling the streets, and what are the citizens going to do? Nothing.
Right. And people are like, what are you going to shoot down a Predator drone? It's like, you don't have to. If there's a war on your citizens, it's already an international incident.
Well, the whole thing, like with Joe Biden saying, America's got F-14s and nuclear weapons. It's like, well, you guys got beat back by a bunch of goat fuckers with AKs.
And a bunch of
wearing sandals,
race farmers, in their pajamas. Yeah, it's happened before.
So, yeah.
I'll leave regardless, the theory talks to this about that posted thing that Alex Jones will be on Friday Night Tights.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there you go. Way to go. Nice plug. Yeah, and it's the resistance really that matters almost more than anything. And also, like, how long are like American troops going to just start laying waste to their own people? You act like the National Guard is like these mindless automatons where they're going to roll into their own towns and murder their family. I mean,
we just saw a group of police beat up a French citizen. They're all French. And they
I'm not saying there won't be any atrocities. I'm just saying, how long do you really expect something like that to go on for? Like, where at some point the soldiers aren't going to rebel or at least leave the ranks.
I think there will be some people who will, and I think the majority probably will not. That's my opinion.
I agree.
I don't know. I think it's more. Oh, okay. All I'm saying is it's more complex than the people are like, well, what do you need? Well, you can't shoot a tank with a rifle. You don't have to. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't need. That's not exactly what. That's not what the Second Amendment means.
Yeah, it's really not. But yeah, obviously it's a lot more complex thing. But the main thing is I think if people are banking on the fact that the U.S. military won't do that against its own citizens, I think you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that past any power, any government power at all.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff we're seeing in Australia proves it. Like they're just humans. Everybody on this earth, we're just humans. So if one group of humans is already willing to put their, their citizens in medical tyranny, why wouldn't another group of humans somewhere else?
Yeah, we've seen martial law all over this world before.
Another thing too is it goes back to, humans. We respect authority, right? I mean. So, I mean, it does take a special person to stand up against that and say, no, I'm not going to fucking do that.
Right.
Loki in the Avengers was right.
I mean, just look at what happened with Nazi Germany. They're just following orders.
Yep. The cops who were beating up that girl, they were just doing their job.
They're just doing their jobs.
Yeah. Was there any more to that video, by the way? I just wasn't sure if there was anything worth seeing. There's only like another. I was just curious. I mean, we don't have to go back to it if it's not worth seeing, but. Because that was pretty upsetting. I mean, it was upsetting to watch a woman just getting fucking.
It's a little bit more.
Going back to what I was saying about proportionate response of force. I mean,
yeah,
that's one woman and what, like 12 cops?
Yeah,
probably maybe more. I mean,
she's wearing like short shorts. Like, she's like the least threatening person I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a muscle-bound man.
No.
That is swinging punches.
No.
Okay? This is not a guy that is high on PCP taking out the cops.
I didn't even know French cops were armed, by the way. The only thing
it's not England.
French, but I didn't know I didn't know they had armed police. But I'm wondering if maybe she attacked the cops first that we didn't see. Only because this is such a this is so much force.
Even if she did, do you think that requires that much force? I mean, honestly,
I don't know.
Two cops should be able to subdue one woman like that.
I agree, but don't punch the cops.
Oh, I'm not saying that they should. I'm not agreeing with the idea of assaulting the police, but it's like you saw the group of people carrying her off, slamming her up against that wall. I mean,
it's absurd.
Yeah.
It's
actually
completely absurd.
Can kind of just play anyone who joined. I'll play a little bit of it and then try to play it through to kind of see it to the end. So this is basically assaulting her friend.
The woman, I was not wearing jeans, but the woman in blue is the one that refused or whatever.
I believe so.
That's the assumption. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're just arresting her. You see, it's still being pretty rough with her.
I mean, they really look at the riot cops. Look how much like gear they have on them. That's crazy. Look like they're going to war.
And it's like they didn't even handcuff her yet. I mean, it's like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah. She's definitely not complying.
No, she's not.
He's not.
And at some point, you just need to fucking comply. Like, what do you plan to accomplish here? These are the cops.
They do try to cost whoever's filming. That's right.
I wonder if they have different laws where maybe you're allowed to, like, where they can say you can't film.
Somebody said that in France, you're not allowed to film the cops. In France. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't look into
Europeans. Your superior laws.
That's why that First Amendment's so goddamn important.
Yeah, and the second one too.
But in a way, I can't blame her for struggling, man. It's like if a group of people were carrying me off like that.
I can understand struggling. I just don't think it's the smart thing to do. It's just
that's the fight or flight kind of response to that. A bunch of dudes wearing armor basically carrying you off. God only knows what they're going to do to you.
Yeah,
that's true. But I mean, at some point, you just need to kind of submit to okay, they're not. This isn't like a gang. You know what I mean? Like, this is at least an arm of the government.
I was gonna say, man, it's like
I know what you're saying.
There's accountability.
Submit to the mob or get put on the cob.
No, I'm just saying there's accountability to these men. Like there's still like courts and there's still like the legal system. I don't know what it's like in France, but I mean like they're not just gonna take you to an alley and shoot you. Yeah, I mean there is.
Not yet.
Not all the time. Not all the time, man.
I understand. But I mean, okay. And if it were me, I would have a little more faith in the system than just like, I'm going to try to struggle my way out of this because that's my only choice.
But that's the whole thing with non-compliance, right? Is peaceful resistance. I mean,
yeah, well, that wasn't peaceful. She was fighting.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, it's the same thing that happened, I think, with a lot of places where you had dissent like that. I mean, just because arresting you doesn't mean, you don't struggle. Don't make it easy on them.
I guess I'm not saying
about that. At least Matt has a kind of a consistency because we talked about some of the shootings that happen with police, and the big thing is just comply. So, I gotta give.
There's lots of people who've complied and have ended up dead.
But I think more people who comply, it's okay. It works out.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the thing. I agree. I mean, if there's definitely situations where I think you should
just to comply and then say, you know what I mean? In this situation, well, you should struggle. It's kind of a thing.
George Floyd wasn't struggling. He was basically telling them to put him on the ground.
Yeah, he was tripping balls.
But I'm just if you're asking me like who I'd rather like put my face like who I'd rather have an argument with about whether I should go free, would it be a couple of cops who would throw me up against a wall or the court? I'd rather go to the court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
like I'm not.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying that, that's part of the issue, at least in the States, that's going to get you shot is by not complying with the cops. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, flat out. I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
Don't fight the cops ever.
Don't put yourself in a situation where
maybe not ever.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
But I just, yeah, I mean, look, and I like if that was some kind of protest from her, I respect it. You know what I mean? Like, a good for her making a statement. She should probably be filming herself so that her side of the story can be told. Or she might have just been mentally ill. Like, we don't have a lot of context who this person
We
was.
don't have any.
And Rajesh Taylor he brings a very valid point too. It's like, how do we know these people are real cops? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
ask Alex Jones on
they're
Friday Night Taste this week.
Really well-funded imposters then. Because there's about 40 of them.
I
all
think,
had uniforms and equipment. I mean,
I think if it was fake, it would have come out. Yeah, that shit would have been debunked real fast. I think.
There's so many guys there where they're all wearing the same uniforms and having like professional equipment and motorcycle helmets. I mean, that, you know what I mean? How much would it be to fund something like that?
Yeah, and they all have guns, and I don't know what the gun laws are in France, but I just don't think they can all get.
Yeah,
them.
that's true. I don't think the average French citizen is allowed to own a gun, but I don't know the laws there.
I don't either.
But on this channel, we appreciate asking questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Have the discussion for sure.
It's a valid criticism. It's a valid question.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's, I mean, that's the thing that's killing a lot of our freedoms is the fact that we can't have a conversation about things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honest conversations about things.
And people won't even be honest with themselves, I think, is the worst part.
Oh, God. Yeah, a really good example of that was, did you see, was it Ryan's Twitter spat with that one guy? Let me find, it was fucking
Ryan's
funny.
Twitter spat guy got to be a little specific.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking for it. Hang on a second.
Down.
He's a creative. It was
Jarbo, that fucking retard?
No. It's Daryl Park. Basically, it's really funny. He ended up calling Ryan an incel, but Daryl Park basically said that because of the holiday, the Monday counted. He basically said that Shang-Chi made like 90 million. Everyone's like, no, man, it was 75 million. He's like, well, Monday is part of the holiday. It is a holiday, so it's part that accounts for the weekend. It's like, dude, you're fucking counting an extra day, man.
I wouldn't disagree. Although personally, I wouldn't
He's
disagree.
Flat out wrong. If you actually go to the websites that track the numbers, they list the weekend box office numbers was $75 million, not 90.
I certainly wouldn't get into a fight over that because I'm like, yeah, he's kind of got a point. It's like Memorial Day weekend includes
wrong,
Monday.
Though. It's not right. If you're doing that, you'd have to include Monday for any other opening. You're
Angel's advocate.
You're basically giving them an extra day.
Fine. I'm just saying I wouldn't have the argument. I'd be like, okay, agree, disagree. I'm not gonna like go down this road. Okay.
I don't know who this Daryl, what's his name? But okay. Never before have we not counted, like, rather it's Memorial Day. Like, we would sometimes you give both. You, like you said, you would say 75 for the actual weekend and then 90 for the entire holiday. And so, like, like most of the time, you do go, like, if it's a holiday, like the entire holiday. Like, I've heard people. So. I would think so. I mean,
I'm sure that was not the most cunty thing he was saying, though.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was being stubborn. But it's like, dude, you're fucking adding in an extra day. That's like if you compare it to the opening numbers for.
Isn't it still the fifth worst opening ever?
It's actually pretty low. Even if you don't adjust it,
fifth
worst.
No, it's lower than that. It's like the
third
worst.
If you adjust it for inflation, it's like
legit the third worst.
But that's the only argument I need.
But it sits right behind Ant-Man and the Wasp, as far as numbers go. I mean, it's not a great opening.
Yeah. So even if he's right about the 90 million, who gives a shit? It's still terrible.
Yeah.
It's inconsequential amount of money.
I mean, have you looked at the numbers for Black Widow?
Yeah, we actually did the other night.
It's like it made 300 million.
Mm-hmm. Barely. I don't even know if it made its budget back, which we were saying it probably didn't.
Well, maybe there's budget, but not advertising.
Right. Yeah. Which
that's the thing. A lot of things that people don't understand is that it's not included with the numbers. Is reshoots and any kind of marketing.
And with Black Widow, I mean, that was marketed twice. Remember, they had that shit on Doritos last year.
Which is a great point.
Brands, so that's even worse. I've been hashtag simping for Simu. He's a sensitive chap.
He's very sensitive.
He's very like Charmin soft sensitive.
Yeah, like
but like maybe because it's obvious he has that bullied kid energy that I feel some sort of like I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to say I'm giving him a pass, but it's just like I feel like he's a bit of a victim of what was like kind of a slow news thing, because otherwise who would have cared about Shang-Chi to even hate on it? But there was like nothing to talk about, so and he was talking shit every 5 minutes, so it was like, oh fuck Shang-Chi. But really it's just another mediocre Marvel movie that had, you know what I mean? It's not, who cares?
Everything I heard about it's like it's not the most egregious thing, but at the same time, it just sounds boring as fuck.
It's better than Captain Marvel.
My suggestion to you folks, if you want to see an actual good martial arts film with a fascinating story, go see the movie Shaolin. It came out in 2011. It's basically about a warlord who gets deposed and has to go and seek refuge at a Shaolin monastery. And it's kind of ironic because at the very beginning of the movie, it's about him just deposing another warlord, chasing him to a monastery, and then killing him. And then he ends up at that very same monastery. So it's like he's kind of getting his comeuppance in a way. And it's really good because it has this fantastic redemption arc.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just Googled it. What country is it from?
It was filmed in Hong Kong.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Right on. I've never seen it.
Yes, Bruce, I have seen The Raid. Yeah.
I keep getting talked about it. And actually, when I brought up Shang-Chi, everyone kept saying The Raid. So I found it on streaming. I am going to watch it because I found out Raid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Raid. You'll see things say Raid Redemption. I thought that was the sequel. It's not. It's still, that's the first movie.
Yeah, that's the first one. I saw it in the theater. It's fantastic. I mean, there's definitely spots in it where I'm like, oh, dude, this is over the top, but it's fucking funny. It's great. I mean, there's a dude with a fluorescent light bulb sticking out of his neck, and he's still fighting. I mean, that dude would be dead. but it's fun. It's a good movie.
People are big fans. I hear about that all the time.
Yeah. And listen to I gave my review of Shang-Chi on like Saturday or whatever. It's a D- movie. It's barely passing. First part is interesting, then it just gets really MCU. Somebody brought up Black Panther.
Oh God, yeah.
It's almost as bad where you have the female leads emasculating.
Well, it's like they should just call the movie Shang-Chi's sister.
Oh, Aquafina. Aquafina has no training and she one-shots the main boss. That literally happens. No training whatsoever.
That's what I heard.
This whole village of ancient people are fucking getting massacred. She one-shots this beast. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
You think so? Simu Liu's rage is like his actual just suppressed masculinity, who knows that he's just been cucked in his own film and he can't mentally process it properly, so it comes out in all these other ways.
Listen, you know what I think it is? Hollywood's a rough place. Hell, they made you a table. So I can only imagine what he went through. I don't mean that any disrespect, but I mean I'm saying that to say Hollywood's fucking nuts. So I can imagine. I feel like he's somebody who went through the Hollywood system and went around all these wokies and got hit, like told a bunch of shit, and is just like lashing out. This is his only chance. This is his 15 minutes of fame. This is his only chance to be a star, and he's just lashing out. This is his lash out moment from, I don't know.
It's possible, man. Look, this isn't like his behavior doesn't surprise me in the sense of like so many of the people that I knew in LA, not all of them, but a lot of the people, man, and a lot of the actors, like they really just were walking around pre-triggered. They were walking around like so ready to fight social justice. Like their programming was deeply ingrained, and like I know a dude, like he was so triggered over like these little things, and I was just trying to have like a complex conversation. He just would it was like an attack. So it's like, yeah, you know what? He might
calm the fuck down.
Just relax, dude. But that's how they are. Like that's how a lot of them are. So it's like, yeah, it's probably just, he's just graceless. Like he's just too keyed into that shit.
I don't know. I think honestly, a lot of this stuff is because people face a lot of lack of adversity. I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. I think bullying played a lot of making people well-rounded to a degree. I mean, it's true, man. I mean, it's like you get bullied in school. It kind of prepares you for life, man. It shows you that life isn't fair, life is tough, and you're going to have to navigate other people not liking you. And you have these people now, it's like they get into a difficult conversation, they're fucking triggered, they don't know how to react. I mean, someone tells them to fuck off, they're like, oh my God, what's happening? And it's like, Jesus Christ, someone just told you to fuck yourself. That's all. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous.
Well,
it's like,
I'm looking at,
calm the fuck down, man. Life will continue. You're not gonna have a heart attack.
He's 32, Simu Liu, so he's like prime millennial. He is Canadian. No offense to the Islington girl, but as I understand it, like they're extra woke, right? Like they take our woke and they go like they square it, right?
That's what I've heard.
That's what I've heard.
It's worse there or here. I mean, I think to a degree in certain areas it's probably really bad. I know that Nina talks about why she left Canada, and for good fucking reason.
Yeah, and so I'm just wondering if like that has something to do with it too. Like I'm looking at like his, at his like Wikipedia right now. Like he, lots of college. He went to University of Toronto, Ivy Business School, University of Western Ontario. You know what I mean? Lots of college, which means a lot of time to
lots of indoctrination.
Yeah,
lots of probably emasculation. Like he does come off like I said, I don't know, like who touched you and where did they touch you? You almost want to have a dial. Where were you touched? He comes off very like, like I don't know, like he did. Well, go ahead.
No, he's like a physical embodiment of like the Stop Asian Hate thing, where it's just like there isn't a thing, dude. Like this isn't like a widespread thing that's going on. Like nobody was attacking your movie on the basis that it had Asian people in it. Like you're not like, no one's coming after you. It's like, it's like they want to have a fight and there's no one to fight. No one cares, man. Let it go.
It goes back to the, what they're saying. If you don't like Shang-Chi, you're racist. And it's like, no, it's a shit movie. And there's better movies that star Asians in it that I like more than this one.
Yeah.
Like I said, Shaolin, is a, movie about China that actually stars Chinese people. Go figure.
Yeah. A rebel without a cause. Yeah, I think that's
yeah, good point, Josh.
A lot of the rebel without a cause situation, and not cool like James Dean just lost.
Yeah,
I guess that was the point of the movie, but
yeah.
I mean, it kind of is, but it's more than just a rebel without a cause, right? I mean, these people aren't rebels. That's kind of the problem too. I mean, they
conformists without a cause.
Yeah, or conformists with a cause. I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous because these people, they think they're fighting the system. It's like, no, you are the fucking system. Wake up.
Yeah. I love that meme of the guy where it's like guy who agrees with the universities, Hollywood, and major corporations thinks he's part of the resistance.
Yep.
Like that's Yeah, I don't know. I really think it's the programming. I think they're just programmed to get this sort of power dynamic about the world. And if you're not fighting that power dynamic, like you're part of it. So everything that you say and do, it's all, like you're always being marginalized because of your race. And if you're not fighting that constantly, it's, you're not helping.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me.
It's like the whole thing with how, words are violence, silence is violence. It's the way they're trying to phrase these conversations. Like if you don't say anything, that's violence.
Right.
No, it's not. If you say something, it's violence. And that's the thing that these people are legitimately trying to equate saying something with being physically assaulted, which is ridiculous.
But it's like, because they can't, like, moderates are not allowed to exist. People who like think about things for a little bit, they're not allowed to exist. We need to like have everyone on board and those who are not identified. And that's why they say things like silence is violence, because they need to speak up. You need to, regurgitate the message or expose yourself as a dissenter.
Yeah. And I couldn't disagree more. Silence is golden. I don't know everything about every subject, so I shouldn't be talking about it.
Well, they do.
If you don't.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's I've said this before, and I get a lot of crap for it. It's like, you're allowed to not have an opinion on something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's certain things out there I just don't have a fucking opinion on. I legit don't. And it's because I don't know everything. I don't know anything either. I don't know everything. I don't, if I don't know something, I'm not going to have an opinion on it. And I'm going to give you, well, okay, that's my response. It's like I got to look into something before I can give you a full-fledged opinion. And there's times where I do, and I'm like, I don't have an opinion on this. I don't fucking care.
Well, that's why I appreciate so much about the work that you guys do over at Unsafe Space, because it's like, it has given me so much insight and perspective into the whole thing. Cause it's like, you see all these consistencies, but to me, they just take all the strings and they tie it up and they display like the central core. And you're like, oh, that's what that all is. Like, that's why I'm so grateful for Carter and Kerry, because it's like that. I don't know. It just gives me perspective to understand where you're just like, yeah, that's what that is. They're just part of doing the thing. They're saying the thing. They're saying the words. They're, letting you know about their new software update. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of saying words, I highlighted, but I guess Gary's singing your praises, man. Shout out to Gary. Shout out again to Friday Night Tyson. Shout out to our own Foulball.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks. Shout out to Gary Beekler. Much appreciated, man.
Gary's an awesome dude.
He's an awesome dude. I love that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm pumped for Alex Jones Friday Night Tights. That's going to be wild.
The funny thing, and I've known Gary for a very long time, specifically when it comes to internet years, right? I've known him since his channel was 700 people.
Right.
All right. So Gary and I have talked a lot over the last, I guess 3-4 years at this point. And the guy's still the same. He still talks about the same stuff. And you have, the Uber Eats driver, calling, him out on certain things. Like, dude, he's saying the exact same shit we talked about 4 years ago.
That guy, I think that guy's mentally disturbed.
I don't know anything about Jarbo. I've heard. Is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about Jarbo.
This man's name. Yeah. I don't know anything about him.
To me, I think spending time on that guy is just giving him press he doesn't deserve. Like, I think that guy's mentally broken, and the less we talk about him, the better.
But Kerry is disturbingly inconsistent. He really is. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't change his opinion, but he's consistent.
Oh,
he's talking about the exact same shit he's been talking about. I mean, he didn't talk about on his channel, but he's been saying the exact same thing even before he started speaking out against it, because I was telling him, like, dude, you got to talk about this stuff. But he would come on my channel and talk about it. He wouldn't do it on his channel. And it wasn't until the whole thing with his
wife and the California stuff.
No. Well, there's that too. But the identity politics stuff he started talking about after Doctor Who, that broke him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we would talk about it privately. We'd talk about it on my channel. But yeah, and he just wanted to focus on entertainment, and he got to the point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. I got to talk about this stuff. So, like I said, he's been consistent.
I think I've mentioned this before, but it was like this comedian Ryan Long, his friend. I don't know the guy's name. Or I wish I could credit him, but he said that like everybody got like all these entertainers got like drafted into the culture war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, meaning you didn't want to. That wasn't why you got into it. It wasn't to be it, but now you have to be involved. So you got drafted. So all right, here I am.
I was when I started my channel, I was talking about the shit that was going on with Comix and how bad they were, making fun of, at the time we called it SJW Marvel, and
all new, all different.
All new, all different. Yeah.
But now it's at the point where if you're not addressing it, I can't take you seriously.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, part of the issue is that they made it political. They made everything political, and now we're basically having to do the same thing, right? It's like,
what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
I'd be a liar if I didn't.
You forced me to talk about politics. I didn't want to talk about politics.
I wanted to enjoy Star Wars.
Yeah, I just wanted to make comics better by making fun of the garbage that was out there. Now I have to talk about this shit because if I don't,
the world man.
I'm lying to myself.
No, I'm joking, but I'm not joking, unfortunately.
Gotta be honest, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, comics have infested
everything. Yeah, they were. It was the proving ground.
Yeah. You started about how you started your channel. Similar to Nina Infinity, who we will both be on her channel a little bit later. I started off just talking about positive news. Like literally, that's my first 5 or 6 streams on this very channel. You can check the tape. Are just me reading positive news of cool things people do for each other,
Mhm.
and even that got political. It was like, oh, this person had a BLM sign. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I said, fuck it. We'll just talk about politics since I can't even talk positive. But shout out to Nina Infinity. We will be on our channel later. And she said hey to Comix. And
Hey, Nina.
there you go.
Hey,
I will say this one thing about Gary and you all as a collective. It's the only thing I disagree with in the recent video about Shang-Chi attacking him, where he said, oh, we're these small little YouTubers. I said it earlier. You guys ain't small anymore. I don't like as a collective.
Comparatively, dude, we're I'm microscopic compared to Gary and everybody else. But yeah, I mean, he's still small, man. I mean, 300,000, 350,000. I mean, that seems like a lot, but you have people out there that have 1 million subscribers. So
true, but like, I don't think you guys are gauging how much 300,000 is a lot. And
I'm not saying it doesn't mean we don't have influence.
That's what I mean.
You know, Gary has way more influence than I do. I'm what
you're
barely
a part of the team.
You know, almost 8,000 subscribers for my channel.
Your
but
sub count is not always indicative of your impact.
No, it's not. And you know, my reach is obviously broader on Friday Night Tights than my own channel. And but yeah, like I said, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. But you know,
like I said, though, I do think it represents something, and it's, you know, it's not to say that it's anti-SJW, but it's a codified group of people who have very, you know, deep passions and similar values, who do care about these things on a deep level, and can't really be lied to, like, at least not nearly as easily as like, you know, the people who will, you know, or how they like us to be lied to, you know, how much they'd like us to just shut up and consume. I mean, people are too much based people, too much people with character and integrity. So it's like, yeah, but you're also influencing, I would argue, a like impactful slice of society. It's not simply just, you know, like, it's not like a TikTok girl who, yeah, she's got 30 million followers, but you know, half of them are teenage boys. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
well,
you know what I mean?
One thing too that Brightest Day brings up is that, you know, my sub count may be small, but my audience is pretty loyal to me.
Yeah, we were talking about the Dick's Division earlier.
Yeah,
we had those Dick's Division shirts. Your audience is loyal, and just in general, the whole collective, the community, fellowship, whatever you want to call it. I say community just to be, because it's funny, but like, there's something. There you go. There's something bigger than just the sub. There's something else happening, like that song thing, and just what happened in Vegas.
The thing is that Gary's right on. It's about the fellowship, right? You know, to me, it's not about the sub numbers. It's about, you know, the loyalty of the audience, you know, and vice versa. Yeah, hail the Veg Guard. But yeah, I mean, it's about building that relationship with your audience, and you know, and the big thing is, you know, being honest with your audience. And there's gonna be times where your audience is not gonna like what you say, but you got to say it because it's, you know, you're not a shill, right? You know, you're not a grifter. If you don't be honest with your audience, you are just fucking grifting.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why it is hilarious that, like, that's the accusation they level at, like, Gary or you or anybody like that. It's just like, that's actually the polar opposite. Like, you may disagree, you may not like what they say, you may think whatever you want to think, but the one thing they're not is liars.
Yeah. And there's gonna be times where you get stuff wrong too, man. It was like my initial review of The Last Jedi was, I wouldn't say I didn't think it was woke. I said it was progressive. But I couldn't find anything to say that there was agenda behind it. And there was like, dude, you're fucking wrong. and they sent me stuff. I was like, okay, apparently there is stuff I was wrong. There was agenda behind it.
You know, you can be wrong. I mean, like, I was wrong about the Suicide Squad. Like, my first impression was I hated it. I was just like, there's nothing redeemable in this. Like, I not nothing, but overall, this is a bad movie, and it's got weak jokes that missed the mark. And some of the things I thought was right, but I wasn't, I was like triggered. Like, I was just ready to go after it. And then, like, I went back and watched it again. I was like, oh no, some of this actually works a lot better than I thought it did. It did earn more than I gave it credit for. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's like that. I was wrong. Like, I had to go back and learn that I was wrong, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, I mean, hell, you guys have Alex Jones coming on your show Friday. And even before this, sometime last year, he was already using Gary in his drops. Wasn't
Was
he? He had
I don't
something.
know.
No, it was about cuties. Gary had something about
Yeah,
cuties,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
was
yeah.
in one of his like intros, like he like like a cut
He
of a
did.
bunch of
That's
different
right.
takes, and he had Gary in it. So like you had already apparently had been on his radar well before then, or you guys. So it's like you guys are pretty
I think they're
impactful.
influential, man, because I found a lot of this stuff just by like being like a Hollywood guy, relatively.
Well,
But I mean, like
like
searching out information on these topics. So when they type into YouTube Shang-Chi, Gary's videos come up.
yeah,
They
I'm
are
not saying,
aware.
I'm not saying that we're not influential in that regards. For sure, we are. I mean, look what the whole thing with Dan Vasquez song, which is fucking amazing, by the way.
Yeah. It is.
And the fact that it was, on the top of the charts on Amazon in the US and the UK. I mean, that's just fucking incredible.
It's insane. I keep saying it, and it's not an easy week to do it either. It was not an easy week to do it. It's one of the hardest weeks probably in a long time to do it. You guys did it, and as good as Dan Vasquez sung the vocals, it wasn't because of Dan Vasquez. It was because of you guys. It was because of Friday Night Tights and what you mean to your fan base. And I mean, you guys have probably who knows how many people who aren't subbed but are like hate lurkers who are still a part of the group of people who you impact.
We know a certain hate lurker. We know that's out there.
Yeah.
We kind of mentioned one of them earlier, but
Mm-hmm.
in general, I think you guys are a lot bigger than you give yourself credit for, and kind of have to, you don't have to change shit. I hope you don't change anything, but just like, hey, you guys aren't small potatoes anymore. You're not in Kansas anymore.
I'd like to address Rajesh's comment there, and he says the chat will be mad on FNT. Yo, the mods and Red Shirt, you're one of them. You guys are gonna have your hands full, man. First of all,
I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be quite a bit of trolls showing up for that.
Oh my God, there's going to be so many, and it's going to be so many people. The chat's going to be blurring by. You're going to have people who are like, who are all these nerds? I don't know what's going on here, who are just there for Alex Jones. Then you're going to have people who are straight up haters who are like, it's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be like an event.
I love it. Somebody replied back because I responded. I tweeted out the whole thing with FNT and Alex Jones, and someone responds back, more like stupid. It's like, come on, man. It's like, it's regardless of how you feel about Alex Jones, I gotta be on a stream with fucking Alex Jones, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. Regardless of how people feel about the guy or think about him, and I'm gonna just reply back, jealous bitch.
No, actually, I'd say go with loose cannon. Just go with Sig Bird, man.
Sick Bird.
Sig Burn. And Ogre's not a hater.
Oh, dude, that's it.
We love you too, Ogre Squasher.
Sick Bird, bruh.
Yeah,
Sick Bird, bruh. I don't know how.
Well, that's kind of part of my whole point with Jarbo is it's like we've never met this guy. Like, we don't know what his life's like, meaning, like, I'm not saying I have empathy for him. I'm saying he could be fucking nuts. Like so I heard someone make the analogy where it's like, if you were just walking down the street and some homeless guy would just start yelling crazy shit at you, you're not going to be like, hey, listen, sir, you've got done things wrong. You misunderstand me. Like, you just walk right on by. But on the internet, you have no context of who these people are. So you just like, you just like engage them as if they're rational thinking people. Like, they're not crazy. Like, they're not like legitimately mentally ill, which like this guy probably is. It's like, I don't know. Like, it's a waste of time.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we don't really have to talk about dude at all. But there is a person like I don't know anything about dude. I've heard his name. I've never actually checked out a video. No. Somebody mentioned like the Dr. Doom guy that was with him in one of these streams recently because his name was brought up on one of the streams I did a couple days ago. Somebody said I guess he was streaming at the same time, talking shit. And I'm like, okay, who in the fuck is he? Like how? Like what is the story of this guy? Like,
I just think he's got a YouTube channel.
Which guy? You talking about Mad Max?
No, Matt Jarbo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, Matt Jarbo was on Mad Max's stream when Jeremy showed up and promptly left. But
oh yeah, because he's talked about that before.
Yeah, but the guy at the Dr. Doom mask is Mad Max.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they were saying that these people were streaming. I just don't know any. I don't know how this, like, what is upset? I guess he's obsessed with Gary or whatever. How did this all
he's
come
obsessed
to
with
be?
Gary and Jeremy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no knowledge of how this all came to be.
I honestly haven't heard that name in like a year.
It's just come up recently. It's been on my
Yeah.
Twitter feed a lot, and it's just it's. But I was just like thinking, like, ugh, like I get grossed out getting too close mentally to these people. I'm just like, you, like I don't really want to even know you're alive. Like the only time it's like, okay, if you happen to be particularly influential, then I think it's worth mentioning. But other than that, no, I'm not gonna like get in your brain. Oof.
Yeah.
I'm actually just checking his YouTube channel. He must have deleted a shit ton of videos, I'm assuming.
You probably privated stuff or unlisted them.
Private, yeah. He only has like.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of stuff I unlisted because it's not exactly like my best work, or it's a little bit different than how I used to do things now. So,
yeah, I went back and looked at some of my first videos. I was like, oh, God, I thought this was good. I put so much time.
Sometimes you gotta prune shit out, man.
Yep.
No, I just figured keep it all up there. It's up there now.
Oh,
like the world.
The Islington girl just sent me a $3.33 tip.
Oh, she must be evil because she sent me one that adds up to 666. But I still appreciate your half evil super chat. What did you say?
Well, gents, I gotta head out. I'm starving, and
all to the good, brother.
But I appreciate you guys having me on. It was fantastic hanging out with you, and I wish I could stay longer.
No, it was.
I appreciate you being here. And honestly, we're getting close to the time we would probably wrap in a minute anyway.
Mm-hmm. So perfect. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank you, Comix Division. Hail. You got anything coming up, the next week or so? People, whatever, coming up.
Get my lazy ass in the chair tonight and record a video. Yeah, I got a few things I want to talk about. God, what was it? Some funny stuff going on.
Right on.
Oh, God, this is funny. This is what I'm probably going to talk about tonight. So apparently the State Department is mad that the Taliban lacks diversity in their representation of their government.
No, that's not a real thing. That sounds like a Babylon Bee article.
You would think so, but it's actually coming from the Hill.
That's amazing.
I got some shit to say about that, buddy. It's so fucking funny.
Wow. Okay. Yep. I'll be keeping an eye out for that.
And then I'm probably going to talk about some of the shit that's going on with Time's Up. I know we kind of talked about off air about Time's Up, but yeah, how they're basically full of shit.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, Comix is great to see. And also, don't forget, you can catch Comix on Unsafe Space. He's doing some good stuff.
They're not banned.
Right. Exactly. Great channel, though. And of course, every Friday night over on Gary's channel, FNT, and don't miss this week. It's gonna be a banger.
It's gonna be fucking epic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Alex Jones is gonna be on FNT Godzillionaire. Anyone else who just joined this week?
It's gonna be madness for sure.
We are in a completely different dimension. We have this universe is separate from the last one we left.
Yep. All right, folks.
All right, brother. Later, Comix.
All right.
Later.
Peace.
Bye. Would you mind hitting that stinger I sent you earlier, Vigilante Williamson?
Are you talking about the Ogre Squasher
Yeah,
did he? Okay, first let's
tremble before the might of the Ogre Squasher. Ogre Squasher just sent me $100.
Holy shit, Ogre Squasher! Thank you.
God damn, dude.
Funding the culture crime fighters.
I swear to God. This man, thank you so much. I hope you like the stinger. I don't know. Audience, tell me what you think. He didn't say anything.
Just silent, but effective, I guess.
Just incredibly generous. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, Ogre Squasher.
Man, thank you.
One day we will meet. One day.
Yeah, I have to meet Ogre Squasher one day. I have to just meet him and just shake his hand and say, man, thank you. I don't know what possessed you to fund this channel. I appreciate that you did.
I'll tell you, like authentically, it's really it's encouraging. Like not just because it's just like when I think about it, or if like you just have like human kind of moments, you just think like there's this dude out here who just like believes in us this much that he's willing to just throw cash at us all the time, and it's just like wow, man. I mean, that's a great sign that at least someone likes us. You know what I mean?
Hey.
Like,
Yeah, he said that it's not like it's better than giving his money to Disney. And I was like, wow, as much as I hate Disney and I think they're evil and shit, but like they are like one of the biggest media companies on earth, and that any one human rather give me $100 in a just a given sitting. Who knows how many? He's had some crazy weeks with Ogre Squasher, and instead of like the biggest media corporation on earth, is like that's incredible.
Yeah, man.
And I
Flattered,
guess
blown
that's
away.
kind of a smaller part what I was talking about with the FNT impact or just the whatever. It's like, listen, I don't give a fuck what that sub number is. Like, you guys are fucking massively impactful, massively.
Yeah,
There's a reason they had to send fucking whatever. But like Zack Snyder, like they could have just told him not to show up. Like, hey, you can't do it. They wanted him to go on there and say what he said. And Simu Liu, he had a fucking like poster of Gary throwing darts at it, doing push-ups for this. You know what I mean? Like this is he posted that shit like somebody like, yeah, take that. You know what I mean? This was his moment because you guys are that relevant. You're that in his head. You know what I mean? We talk about them living rent free in our head.
And I don't know if you noticed like the picture, but it's everyone from like this little. The only person who's not like directly in the community is the quartering, but he's in the community, like the fellowship by it. But it's Gary. It was Geeks and Gamers. It was Critical Drinker. It was it was
Ryan
Clownfish. Yeah, it was everyone. It was all. It was like just like they went after like a group of friends.
And the thing that's more fascinating, and Gary kind of brought it up, like he didn't go after the mainstream article that was being covered because they're not the mainstream anymore. I was bringing this up, like if you're in Hollywood and you really want to know people's opinion, you already know that a lot of these sites are bought and paid for. Rotten Tomatoes is fake. Hollywood Reporter is bought and paid for. Variety, whatever other shill site. So you have to go to YouTube. Now you do have the kind of neutral guys, the Chris Stuckmans and Jeremy Johns or Angry Joe. But after that, it's those guys we mentioned. Those are the next most important voices, and maybe a little bit more impactful voices because like I said, I like Jeremy Johns. I'm not knocking him. He's cool.
I don't agree with Chris Stuckman or Angry Joe, but I don't think that they have takes that bot like they generally. I don't think they're bullshit.
No, I don't think they're bullshit.
They have different values.
Yeah, I just think they're just like kind of like, and I can be the same thing, kind of normies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Normies make the world go round. No. But like, as far as opinion, I think people really value Gary and Drinker and everyone else. Even if people who don't like that opinion, don't like what they have to say, they still want to know what you guys have to say because it's important. It's that impactful.
Good question by Ogre Squasher. He asked if Disney owns Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know who owns Rotten Tomatoes.
They might. I've found out very recently Hollywood Reporter is a Warner juncture, so that's very true. They could own Rotten Tomatoes.
So says Fandango. Fandango owns it.
Who owns Fandango?
Who owns? Good point. Good point. Yeah, just gotta keep going up the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
NBC Universal.
Mm-hmm. So, but that's still a major media company. That
absolutely.
Rotten Tomatoes. Wrong one though, Ogre Squasher. It wasn't Disney. It was NBC Universal.
But he's right though. I mean, like that how much conflict of interest there is. I mean, the website that used to be the gold standard for whether movies were worth watching is owned by a company that's got a financial investment of you watching their movie.
Yes. Yeah. So like you can't get opinion otherwise. You do kind of have to go through.
You have to go to independent people. Otherwise, you can't even really trust it. It's like game reviews. I mean, I used to be a huge GameSpot fan. I used to go to GameSpot all the time, and then
Kotaku,
and then it would be, I'd play these games that they say that they're just jizzing all over, and I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like, if I have this wrong, and it was consistently, and I'm like, oh, I can't trust this site anymore. You guys are not telling me the truth. So people will eventually come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Even without all the grand conspiracy and the reasons and the politics and the China, it's just simply it's not a relevant outlet for them. It's not providing them with the thing that you're advertising them.
Yeah. And isn't the girl? You say Universal is not as egregious. I feel like that's just because they don't happen to own any like major genre properties that I can think of offhand. Like they don't own Star Wars. They don't own, you know what I mean? That all the properties that we care about to know what they're whether or not they're egregious. I don't know enough to say they are or aren't as egregious as Warner or Disney, but I just don't like what do they own.
Well, NBC is super woke. It's just not necessarily in the nerd world. Like
that's what I'm.
They're
more like TV.
Yes, and anything they make on TV is just it's like it's appalling. Like it's so woke. I used to read those scripts a lot because we would do a lot of the single cams and acting classes, and it's all it's an even more like distilled, like high intensity version of all that stuff. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to wrap it up, my good man?
Yeah, we can wrap. This has been a great episode. Shout out to Comix Division. Thank you for Comix Division for showing up on this
hell yeah
podunk little show that we got here going.
Yeah,
almost
he's
30
a good
episodes.
Dude. Yeah, that's right. He's a good dude. I love Comix, man. I always like talking to him.
Yeah. And we were supposed to have him on a million times before, so it's cool to finally get him.
Good to finally get him. We're gonna check off all those FNT guys one by one.
Yeah. Our FNT gauntlet. We're getting, we had Tom was the first guest overall, and then we had Chrissy Mayer, she's kind of become an FNT semi-regular, and then of course Gary, and then Comix. Anybody else?
That's all we've had thus far.
Yeah,
but I mean, I've gotten verbal agreements from a lot of the other members. I'm not going to call anybody out just in case they don't show up or their conflict. I don't want to make them look bad. But a lot of them have said that they'll come do the show. So
yeah. So yeah, man. Thank you everybody for being here. I tried to get as many comments in. I always try, and if I missed a comment, I apologize. So yeah, anything to say before we wrap?
Just make sure you check us over at Nina Infinity's channel at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. Me and Vigilante are going to go over there and have some conversations about different types of stuff. So if you haven't got enough of us today, go watch us. And hail Ogre Squasher. And hail
Ogre Squasher. Thank you again for funding my channel.
I really feel like
just everything we do.
Yeah, it really should be like in conjunction with Ogre Squasher Media. We bring you the Culture Crime Fighters.
Yeah, real quick. Shout out to 24/7 Fusion Media. He has like a little tidbit. It says Fandango / Rotten Tomatoes top guy used to work for Disney and would help cover for Marvel and Captain Marvel boosting reviews. I see.
Good work,
so there's a Disney connection there as well.
Good work, sir. Well, if it's in media, Disney probably has a hand in it.
Yeah, they do.
They own media now. Yes, indeed.
All right. I guess I'll just hit the outro. If you haven't liked the video, please like, share, subscribe, because sharing is caring. And even if you do nothing, if you just watch this live or the playback, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. And good night. God bless us. See you on the Nina Infinity channel in a couple hours. All right.
Bye.
Peace.